Welcome to the Midlife Fulfilled podcast. Are you over 40 and ready to truly thrive? Well, on this podcast, we go deep on ways to thrive across the 5 pillars of midlife: health, fitness, career, relationships, and legacy. I'm Bernie Borges, midlife advocate, life coach, and your host. Subscribe now and get ready to thrive. Loren Greiff, welcome to the Midlife Fulfilled podcast, a maximum episode.
Welcome to you, and thank you so much for having me, Bernie.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for being here. I'm looking forward to our conversation. I've been covering this topic a little more and more, and I want to continue to cover this topic. So first, Loren, let me do a little introduction of you for my listener. You are the founder and CEO of Portfolio Rocket. You're also an executive career strategist within the context of your company. And since 2020, Portfolio Rocket has helped over 400 executives over the age of 40 transform their careers, their lives, and really just themselves. And it's a valuable service. You are also the host of Career Blast and a Half, a podcast, which I'm a listener of. And you do a great job on that, again, covering this all-important topic. And so I invited you here today to really have a conversation around this topic of career development, career transition over the age of 40. And really in today's world, Loren, like the dynamics of what's going on in today. And so since we are here in early 2025, I thought I would ask you, so what do folks over the age of 40 who are interested or out of necessity going through a career transition, what should they be thinking about? Big question, right? Big question.
It is a big question, and I do have some big answers. But aside from that, I think that we want to also set up a little bit of a playing field, because something happened as a result of the pandemic that shifted a lot of what is now the job market for those who are 40 and older. So in the pandemic, it was the first time that more of the older workers were let go before some of the younger workers. So prior to that, those were the legacy, institutional knowledge holders of companies. And then there was a dramatic shift. And so most of those older folks who found themselves on the market were also challenged with ageism. So we have talked about this. We know that ageism exists, and we're not here to say that it doesn't. What I'm here to say is, yes, it does exist, and I can't make it go away, but there are a lot of things that you can do, especially in your job search, to mitigate it and to not let that be the reason why you are not seen as viable or relevant or hireable. So I wanted to just lay some groundwork, because I think it's important to know that, hey, you're not crazy, you're not imagining it. The perception of you as somebody in corporate America, or even just somebody maybe even taking contract work, might not be what you had always imagined it to be or understood it to be. And what is happening in 2025 is a lot of confluences of different elements. And where this all shakes out is in about 3 or 4, depending on how far you want to split it, 3 or 4 different overarching themes. The first one that I want to touch on is how to package your deep experience. So why I talk about this is because the more relevant you are, the less ageism has a chance to let its ugly head rear itself.
Mm-hmm. So I like your word package, Loren. I like that. That's a visual, right? So how do you create this package of your total experience? Go ahead.
Completely.
Keep going.
And what I want to also just raise my hand for is that saying you're experienced isn't enough, right? We know that with, age and older workers, you will have pattern recognition. You will have wisdom and good judgment. You will be able to bring in things that somebody who is at a different time or generation won't. But you have to translate that for them. Experience in and of itself does not define the strain and the flavor of what it is and what it means to a future employer. So if it is pattern recognition, now the next step is to actually spell it out. And I want, as much as possible, to thread a metric in there. Metrics are validating. They are also easy ways to translate a lot of information or telegraph a lot of information very quickly. It also changes things. If you say a lot, is that 2%? Is that 20%? Is that 200%? So it's very important to get as specific as you can about what your experience means to your end user, buyer, decision maker, even that person in a networking conversation who's going to put their reputation on the line and potentially make an introduction on your behalf.
And when you say use metrics and package yourself, you're talking about your LinkedIn profile, your resume, maybe if you have a website, which a lot of people don't. Just is that, are there any other ways that folks can be packaging themselves?
Absolutely. So what is a market? What is a job search? It's essentially your marketing campaign for you to achieve your goals, what you're worth, and what impact you're going to have on your next company. So every single touch point can make a difference. Voice notes, huge. Your subject lines, your PS on your follow-ups or your emails. Weave them into your networking conversations. Use them in your LinkedIn posts, not just your profiles. So what I want to also suggest is part of this new process of being in the marketplace is also a requirement to exercise your level of creativity and innovation. And so in any given situation, you might want to consider it a palette. So here I have this blank email. What will I do with it? How can I break the monotony of the endless amounts of email in somebody else's in bin? How do I move away from what I call same script? I am a leader with 20 years of proven experience. As soon as I hear that, I think you're not relevant because I've heard it so many times. And so 20 years just tells me that you've accumulated that time period in the market, but that doesn't necessarily sway me one way or the other, because if you are of a certain age, everyone has that.
Right. Right. What about the role of video? I don't see enough people who are willing to fire up that camera, put the lights on, like you and I have lights on. We're in our home offices and we have our lights on because without it, these videos, by the way, listener, remind you that you can watch this episode on YouTube, but, just recording videos that help to communicate the package that you're describing, Loren.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. So that is a winning, subtle, nuanced, and very impactful strategy. Number one, it says that you're up on technology, right? It says, oh my God, we use Loom videos, Loom, Loom, in emails. We use them for follow-ups. We use them for thank you notes. We use them when we're networking. All of our clients do. Why? Top of mind. And also, I can feel your vibe. It doesn't feel like just another something. And the good news is because so few people do it, it automatically sets you apart. Because how many video emails are you getting today?
Exactly.
1 out of 100?
Right.
So you're looking for those places where you can respectfully disrupt. Disruption is your friend. More of the same is what my dear friend Kevin D. Turner would say, personal blanding. And we want to stay away from that because, again, you're in a very crowded marketplace. So it's incumbent upon you to use tools, especially the free ones. Anybody can use LinkedIn voice notes. Anybody can use LinkedIn videos in the direct messages. And those are powerful. I shot off probably, I think it was like 43 thank yous over the holidays over video. Every single person returned my video.
Yeah.
Not necessarily with a video in return, but my point is they saw it.
Yep.
They acknowledged it.
Yep.
Yeah, sure, it took a little bit more time. But if you're building a relationship, that's your capital right there.
Yeah. I want to come back to the voice note one because a lot of people don't even know that that's possible on LinkedIn currently. And I don't know if they're going to change this because it's been this way since day one. It's only available on the mobile app. For some reason, they don't make it available on LinkedIn desktop. So it's mobile only. But as you know, Loren, you can tap this little button and record a voice message to anybody you're connected to. And very few people use it. So anyone who's maybe a little reticent to get on video, because a lot of people are, the voice approach is so much easier and you still stand out.
Yes. 85% of LinkedIn users are typically using LinkedIn on their mobile device. I know that there is a workaround to do it on desktop. I just think it's easier anyway, because you could do it obviously on the go. You have a whole minute. And I really like these two because they are so casual. You can just say, hey, I have this link I'm sending you. I saw this article. It reminded me of you. No need to replies. Have a great day. And people are like, wow, thanks, right? You were thinking of me. How easy is that? So I do love that feature. And also, let's face it, there's something about hearing somebody's voice that changes everything. You could hear their smile, you can hear their enthusiasm, you could hear, the connection, and people hire people. They don't hire profiles or resumes.
Hey, it's Bernie, and I'm jumping into the middle of this episode with a quick message. I just want to share something that I'm really excited about. If you're feeling like you're at a crossroads, whether it's in your career or leadership or just personal fulfillment, I want you to know that you are not alone. That is exactly why I'm now offering one-on-one executive coaching to help professionals like you gain clarity, take control, and just move forward with confidence. You see, I've been coaching people for a while now, and someone recently challenged me with this question. They said, Bernie, why aren't you availing yourself to others as an executive coach so that you can help them like you've helped me? That really made me think. The truth is, I hadn't looked at it that way before. But after reflecting on it quite a bit, I decided that it was time to make this official. So, if you're navigating a career transition, or you're just looking to level up in leadership, or just need a thought partner to help you figure out what's next, let's talk. I offer 3 coaching programs, and right now I have a limited enough free 30-minute discovery calls available to see if coaching is the right fit for you. No pressure, I promise. Just an honest conversation about where you are and where you want to go. Hey, if this resonates, book your free discovery call. Just visit the link in the show notes or head to the executive coaching page at midlifefulfilled.com. And now let's get back to the episode. Yeah, exactly. Loren, I want to get to a topic that is sort of an elephant in the room, and I know that you're prepared to talk about it. And that is the role of AI. And the context is not only 2025, but you said something earlier that I want to come back to because it's really a key point. And that is that we have a ton of institutional knowledge for those of us over 40 in our career. But AI is relatively new on the scene. I mean, AI is not new. We all know that, but it's only like November 2022 is kind of when, it made its grand entrance with ChatGPT. And it's been growing, as crazy fast. So what's the role of AI in 2025 for the career transition for those over 40?
Absolutely. So I want to give the headline first. And the headline first is AI isn't here to replace you. It's here to reveal you. I'll say that again. It's not here to replace you. It's here to reveal you. And what that really means is that there are 5 skills, according to Ahmad Rahman, who is the chief economic officer over at LinkedIn, 5 skills that AI will never be able to replace. He calls them the 5 C's: curiosity, communication, collaboration, compassion, and creativity. So while AI is picking up a lot of the busy work and a lot of the automated things that are time sucking out your day, you want to know and you want to leverage those 5 C's that AI cannot replace. Conversely, you still need to know how AI is going to be working in your favor. And it was the #1 question in 2024. How are you using AI, and how is it being utilized either in your role, in your company, in your industry? So you can expect that will be there. And you do not need to be an AI expert. We're all pretty much starting at a relatively, novice level. But what I will say is you need to also start treating it not as an additive, as more of a behavioral change. So this should be something that you are using daily. And there are hundreds of AI courses. LinkedIn Learning is free with premium users. Udemy, all of them, they're everywhere. And again, you do not need to, write code or anything, but prompting for sure. Basic prompting, you need to know how to save time. You need to also know, that because of AI, your communication skills need to be tight and sharp. No filler words, really making sure that you are succinct in your language. We say in our program, and what our executives really focus in on, is saying less to reach more people in a fewer amounts of time. Every CEO has less time to reach more people with fewer words.
Right.
So when you're interviewing or networking, you're not going to have an open amount of time to make your, to have your conversation, to get your key value proposition, intact. You need to make those points very succinctly. In a half an hour, a lot of times we just do an autopsy. You figure, okay, you got like 6 or 7 minutes at the beginning, and you got probably another, 8 or 10 at the back. So what are you saying in the middle? What are you using that time for? Because just like you said to me at the beginning of this podcast, it goes by fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I look at AI, and I've been seeing this a lot lately. I look at AI as like spreadsheets, meaning in our career, we can't imagine not using a spreadsheet for a variety of different things that we need to accomplish. And I look at AI as like a spreadsheet. And I don't mean that literally as an apples to apples.
Sure.
Obviously, it's a metaphor, meaning it's a tool. Use it for productivity. And just like a spreadsheet, if you have to learn how to use it, learn how to use it. I don't know every single feature in Excel, Loren. I don't know about you. I don't.
Oh my God, no way. And if
But
I
I can
don't
do
know
it.
it, I'll look it up. I mean,
Yeah.
and I think that's really the ideal segue into the next piece. The perception about older workers, right, is that they aren't tech savvy, #1, right? And that they are not necessarily agile or adaptable. And this is an era of agility and adaptability. There is no job security. That's gone. It's completely gone.
Yeah.
It also is, the turnover in the C-suite is at its fastest churn rate that it's ever been, which means that you could be in a company. I spoke with somebody this morning, 6 years and 4 restructurings. So every time there's a restructuring, you're learning something new. And if you are on the job market and have been in a company for a considerable period of time, which I define as anything over 3 or 4 years, there is a learning curve to actually maintain a level of market value that is required for you to come up to. So that also includes how you are actually going about the process of your job search as much as it is about what you are doing in it, right? How you are using the time that you have to get the biggest ROI you possibly can from that time period that you are on the market to the time that you would be in your next role.
Yeah. You said a moment ago, Loren, that the perception of older workers is that maybe, we're not up to snuff on all the latest and greatest tools and technologies and all that. So that brings to mind the topic of skilling and reskilling. So I know that that's certainly on your radar. So please address that, because I know it's a big topic.
Yes, I actually talked about this today. So upskilling and reskilling is career survival. This is not like, oh, I think I'll invest in myself now, and maybe I'll learn a couple things along the way. Just as a benchmark, it has been, and this is going on for decades, it has been advised by the HR guidelines that every professional invest between 5 and 10% of their annual compensation every year to upskilling or reskilling. So most people don't do that. I get that, right? It's like, oh my God, why do I have to do that? Isn't my company responsible for that? Well, I'm not saying that they don't have any skin in the game, but if you are not employed, you're not going to wait, because that's exactly the information, the skills, and the momentum and motivation for them to want to hire you. So you're responsible for that. You are responsible for upskilling yourself as a professional and maintaining that. This is the way an athlete would be responsible for maintaining their fitness level. Just the way, a doctor would have to go and get, recertified if they changed policies, or an accountant if they changed, any kind of tax laws. So this is just part of, good professionalism, is to make sure that you are taking good care of what you need to do so that you can remain current and relevant in the marketplace and competitive. As far as what is happening too is, as I said earlier, all these things coming together. You got AI coming together at a time when, lots of people are either coming back in the market. Some people are also being laid off. We saw about 40,000 layoffs between Thanksgiving and Christmas, many of them in the most inhumane ways, over text messages or emails. And every industry has its own set of unique challenges. And so what does that mean as we are, in the early stages of 2024, is really making sure that you are upskilling for your industry specifically, upskilling as a job seeker, and also doing what you can. You might take a negotiations class. You might, do a deep dive in visual literacy. We know that infographics and being able to represent things well is a very, very powerful skill. Another skill, let's just call it out, is LinkedIn, right? Learning how to build your personal brand and your thought leadership is a timeless skill, and that's something we 100% handle. Storytelling, there's another skill that you'll never go wrong with, because inevitably you'll be talking to somebody and you'll need to actually persuade them to do something. And that's a powerful medium. And so each and every one of these both have its industry specificity and also a lot of transferable, applications that are really powerful and applicable no matter what age you are. But if you don't know them at this age, hey, all the power to you. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you said earlier, there are a number of places where you can take courses. You mentioned Udemy as one of them. Additionally, I just want to mention this for the listener. pick a topic, cybersecurity, AI, whatever, pick a topic, and you can find podcasts on them, and podcasts are free, right? Whether it's audio only or on YouTube. So I'm not suggesting that podcasts are going to replace a course that you would take on some place like Udemy, because a course on a place like Udemy is going to do a deep dive, and it's a legitimate course. But podcasts are also great resources for learning. I want to shift gears a little bit. We've kind of been talking about this, but not specifically around this concept that I've heard you talk about, and that is employee value proposition. Would you speak to that?
Sure. So the days of planting an employee value proposition as a poster, it still exists, but it's fading. And why is this fading? Why is it more than just a bunch of, platitudes or words that are on a wall? There's a very, very good business case for it, and it's called retention. So upskilling and employee value proposition are really by design there to help drive alignment between incoming and pre-existing employees and the values of the organization. And companies know that, first of all, it's something like $25,000 per person to actually replace them. Then that's fees and so forth for recruiting and lost time and productivity and ramping that new person. So that's on the conservative end. They don't want to incur that. And why would they? Why would they want to? That turnover also stalls a lot of the initiatives. It breaks momentum between teams. And so alignment and understanding what their value proposition is, as it may or may not align with yours, is critical. It sounds kind of woo, and I get that, but this has been a huge filter and way for our clients to better understand, what, they may sound great on paper and they may have a great logo or big splashy kind of product that you want to be aligned with. But if they're known to be a sweatshop and their value is work, and you're not at the place in your life where you want to sign up for that, better to know early. So I find this to be something that is often an afterthought, because when the temptation to just apply to open roles is so prevalent, this is how many people get into that state of, I didn't know what I didn't know. And I am in this toxic organization, or, I applied to this company and I keep getting rejected, and I think it's because of ageism. Well, you should probably check out what's happening in the organization. Take a good look at a site called The Org, which shows you the entire organizational chart, and check out LinkedIn. Probably going to get a good sense of, what that dynamic looks like.
Yeah. Speaking of age, let's talk about the fact that the average workplace is, I think, 4 or 5 generations, right? It's multi-generation. 5? Okay. So what's the impact for those of us over 40 that are looking for a career transition in a multi-generational workforce world?
Yes, it's the meeting of the minds. So this is a separate skill and training that if you are heading back into corporate, it's there. It's not, if, it already is existing. And it's not an us versus them. Multicultural teams, we know another business, advantage is we know that they're more productive, and we also know that they are also more profitable. But the rub typically comes from either end, right? Maybe some of the younger workers are resistant to feeling like there is we need to do it your way kind of mentality. And some of the older workers have some latent resentment around how they go about texting, and maybe are not seen as, super punctual. And it's really important to refrain from judgments and also really get under the hood of where the points of collaboration are, which, as I said earlier, is one of those five soft skills that AI is not going to take away. So use those to your advantage. And if that means also identifying people who are working in companies like that currently, have some coffees with them. What are the biggest challenges that you're running into when you're there? Like, is it weird? How does it affect your ego? What are your workarounds? Because it's a very, very strong possibility that somebody that you're reporting into could be significantly younger. And there's a lot to celebrate there too, because you're probably going to learn a lot and they're going to learn a lot too. So it's not if and, it's really, how so?
Yeah, yeah. The Thriving in Midlife report that I published late last year, 2024, with Udemy, one of the 42 data points is that 75% of workers over 40 enjoy working with younger folks. So from a one-way standpoint, meaning from the over 40 crowd to the younger crowd, there's this acknowledgement, 75% is pretty significant that they enjoy it. So it's really a matter of leaders making that happen in a productive way, so that it happens more frequently and maybe can begin to kind of erode some of these walls that are out there around ageism.
A lot of companies are building out. I mean, it's not common, but it's increasingly more popular. Reverse mentorships, ways in which advisory roles, especially at smaller startup types of environments. And those are also winning solutions for somebody who may not want to take on a huge full-time role and also stay involved and in the mix of what's happening in today's workforce.
Yeah. Yeah. Loren, before we wrap, any other points you want to make around 2025 and what workers over 40 should be thinking about?
I think that another secret sauce that I do meet with some reasonable resistance around is your thought leadership. If you think about it, you have a unique opportunity. You have all this experience, you have all this know-how, you have all this, understanding of what it is that you've been doing. Share it. Share it. The more you share, not only does that help the greater good, but also it helps you increase your price point. And there's been a lot of conversations, and I don't know where it is right now, but on the back end of LinkedIn, up and coming is expected that not only is the algorithm going to be assessing your skills, just the plain keywords and skills and all the give me the facts, ma'am, but also aggregating your content. And I think some people might not like that, but I think that that's great, because I think you should be rewarded for the efforts that you apply to actually help others, and also to ensure that you are doing your part in staying current in the marketplace. And nothing like a little accountability than, putting a post up maybe once or twice a week and sharing that and building your network that way. So, I could go on. There's a lot of different components to this. I didn't want to touch on networking because I think it's fairly obvious that that's really where the majority, we know easily 85 to 90% of all of the roles for folks who are at the executive level, and even if you're not at the executive level, a well proportion are going to be through your network. The AI congestion on the applicant tracking system has become so dense that I actually shared this today. Because it's so easy and the barriers are so low, recruiters on the back end are spending anywhere between 3 to 5 hours a day sifting and sorting through resumes, of which 75% of those recruiters say less than half are qualified. So because it's so easy to just hit apply now, apply now, apply now, sadly, it's clogging the entire system, which means it's not helping you get through, and it's not helping anybody else who is qualified get through.
Yeah. Well, to your point, networking is really the way to go in finding the next opportunity. And the other point you made is just posting a few times a week. Certainly, I think a lot of people, and this is anecdotal, there's probably some data to back this up because I know it to be true. Most people don't post on LinkedIn. Most don't.
No, I understand. It's a very low percentage. I think it's 3%. I think it's like 3% of the overall LinkedIn universe, and that's over 1 billion, are posting at least once a week.
Yeah.
So, for me, I post every day. My clients don't, but they do post. They have their own cadence, and they've been found in comment threads. They've been found from what they're saying. They'll go to an interview. Somebody will say to them, wow, I really like that, that post that you did last week. I thought that was really insightful or funny or something like that. And it doesn't have to be scary. You don't have to be a great writer. You don't have to be a mathematician or, somebody that's a statistician. You're probably going to go someplace in your life that you've had a lesson that you could share. And
Exactly. Loren, this is a great conversation and I can easily keep it going, but we're going to wrap it here. But first, I want to invite you to share with my listener, how can they connect with you and just get into your world?
Sure. I'd love to meet you wherever you are, whoever you are. My home away from home is LinkedIn. And so you can always find me there. You can also head over to my website, portfoliorocket.com. And also I drop my episodes every Wednesday, Career Blast and a Half.
Fantastic. Well, Loren, my listener knows that all of that is linked up in the show notes for this episode. So again, Loren, thank you so much. You are a wealth of knowledge and insights and expertise on this whole midlife career transition thing. It's a big deal. You take it very seriously and you have a very valuable service where you help a lot of people, not just through your service, but through the content that you share on LinkedIn as well. So I want to encourage my listener to just follow you on LinkedIn and learn from you. And beyond that, contact you if they want to have a conversation with you. So thank you so much, Loren.
You are so welcome. Thank you for having me, Bernie. And thank you so much, everyone, for listening.